top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. Vice President Leni Robredo said she won't stoop down to the level of her detractors despite the relentless attacks against her and her daughters. In her weekly radio show over DZXL, Robredo did not name anybody, but she noted they belong to a group of persons who share the same values and beliefs. The Vice President has been a victim of fake news peddlers on social media, which she countered by correcting their lies and false information. Just recently, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Secretary Salvador Panelo, along with Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, apologized to Robredo after wrongfully claiming she used a government plane during a relief efforts for typhoon victims in the Bicol region. For Robredo, the insults hurled against her, including her daughters, were a small price to pay for the opportunity she was given to serve the public. The opposition leader said they have gotten used to being the subject of fake news and have known better than to engage with social media trolls. Robredo's two daughters, Aika and Tricia, were dragged into the hashtag Nasaan ang Pangulo fracas by presidential spokesman Harry Roque, who claimed their tweets were behind Duterte's tirade last week.
Hindi ako magsustoop down sa kabastusan. Makikita mo naman ka, Eli, pare-pareho yung magkakampi, pareho yung mga values. Magkakasama, lahat bastos. Magkakasama, mga sinungaling. Pero ako ka, Eli, sinabihan ko din yung, paminsan ka, Eli, may mga kakampi din kaming sinasaway ko. Na huwag nang gayahin yung ginagawa nila. Kasi hindi natin pakikipaglaban yung kabutihan, yung decency sa governance. Ako ka, Eli, hindi ako apektado. Pero sa akin, tingin ko obligasyon kung i-point out pag nagsisinungaling sila. Hindi ko pag-aaksayahan ng panahon ka, Eli, na paulit-ulit dedepensahan yung sarili ko. Pero yung sa akin ka, Eli, hindi sila apektado.
Apo.
Hindi sila apektado. Siguro kasi ka, Eli, yung mga anak ko, pinanganak ito, politiko na yung tatay nila. And sila gumagawa ng sarili nila mga hakbang na ako sasabihin ko kay Eli, ni isa sa kanila walang balak pumasok sa politika. At talagang dinediscourage namin. Kasi ganun ka, Eli, pag anak mo, di ba?
Apo.
Yung public service ay malaking sakripisyo pag anak mo, parang ikaw na lang yung magsakripisyo, wag sila.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development reported Monday that some 34,000 families or 139,000 persons are still staying in 670 evacuation centers from the 8 regions badly hit by Typhoon Ulysses. The DSWD Disaster Response Operations Monitoring and Information Center, or DROMIC, report as of 6 a.m. said around 34,232 families or 139,443 individuals remain in evacuation centers. The report said more families have opted to stay with their relatives and friends. There are now 19,296 families and 83,739 persons outside evacuation centers. The DSWD said 995,476 families or 4,079,739 persons have been affected by Ulysses from 6,644 barangays in the National Capital Region, Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, and Cordillera Administrative Region. The DSWD, local government units, non-government organizations, and the private sector have provided over 131.83 million pesos worth of assistance to the affected families. The DROMIC reported that 103,000 13,327 houses were damaged by Ulysses, 13,313 of which were totally and 90,014 were partially damaged. DSWD Secretary Rolando Bautista has assured that the emergency shelter assistance ranging from 5,000 to 10,000 pesos will be given to those who lost their homes from Ulysses. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said the 5,000 cap on the deployment of healthcare workers is temporary. In an interview with CNN Philippines, Bello said the cap can still be expanded as it is subject to regular assessment. On Saturday, Bello said President Duterte has already approved the proposal to lift the temporary suspension of deployment of healthcare workers. However, the government will only allow 5,000 healthcare workers to leave every year to ensure that there are enough HCWs in the country during health emergencies. It was in April when the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration imposed a temporary suspension in the deployment for selected types of health workers, citing the dwindling human resources in local hospitals and medical facilities amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Interagency Task Force later ordered the exemption of healthcare workers with perfected and signed contract as of March 8 from the temporary suspension imposed by the POEA. Malacanang later announced that healthcare workers with complete documents as of August 31 are also allowed to be deployed. Bello last month also revealed that President Duterte has already approved the request of medical workers to further extend the cutoff date from the deadline of August 31. The Department of Trade and Industry reminded all business establishments Monday to comply with the price freeze on basic necessities after President Duterte declared a state of calamity in Luzon. The department warned business establishments that those found violating the price freeze will face the penalty of imprisonment of up to 10 years or a fine of 5,000 to 1 million pesos. The DTI said it is tasked to monitor the prices of basic goods such as canned fish and other marine products, locally manufactured instant noodles, bottled water, bread, processed milk, coffee, candles, laundry soap, detergent, and salt. Meanwhile, the prices of goods such as rice, corn, cooking oil, fresh, dried, and other marine products, fresh eggs, fresh pork, beef and poultry meat, fresh milk, fresh vegetables, root crops, sugar, and fresh fruits fall under the purview of the Department of Agriculture. The listed essential drugs and medical supplies, or essentials, meanwhile are under the Department of Health. In Metro News, Quezon City and Marikina evacuees test positive for COVID-19. San Juan City's active COVID-19 cases down to 39. And negligence blamed on skyway accident. Crane operator faces reckless imprudence case. More from this report.
3 Quezon City residents who evacuated during the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses tested positive for the COVID-19. They were taken to community care facilities for immediate medical attention, according to QC government. Mayor Joy Belmonte welcomed the fact that 637 of the 640 evacuees tested negative for the dreaded disease. Quezon City Epidemiology and Disease Surveillance Unit will continue to be alert should any evacuee show COVID-19 symptoms. Meanwhile, 5 were found positive for the virus after undergoing confirmatory swab test in one of the evacuation centers in Marikina City. Person who made contact with the 5 COVID-positive patients have all tested negative for the virus, according to Marikina City Mayor Marcelino Teodoro. To prevent the virus from spreading, the local government conducted rapid tests on residents affected by Typhoon Ulysses who are still in evacuation centers. The number of COVID-19 cases in San Juan City dropped to 39 as of November 20, according to Mayor Francis Zamora. San Juan City has a total of 3,322 confirmed COVID-19 cases. 3,188 have recovered, while 95 died of the disease. Latest data shows that the barangay with the most number of infections were West Crame, Batis, and Santa Lucia. Zamora earlier said that local government is targeting to have 0 active cases by December. To achieve this, the city is constantly reminding the public to wear face masks, face shields, observe physical distancing, and maintain good personal hygiene. Representatives from San Miguel Corporation and EI Corporation said negligence on the part of the crane operator led to the collapse of the Skyway Extension Project girder that killed 1 and injured 8 others on November 21 at the service road in Barangay Kupang, Muntinlupa. Muntinlupa Mayor Jaime Fresnedi convened a meeting this morning with SMC and EI representative to shed light on the Skyway accident. Muntinlupa Representative Rufi Biason, Vice Mayor Artemio Simundak, and members of the City Council including Majority Floor Leader Raul Coro were also present. Coro said initial investigation by the SMC and EI pointed to negligence of the crane operator of Mayon Machineries, which was hired by EI as a subconstructor for the use of the crawler crane. The Muntinlupa police identified the crane operator as Enrico Gregorio, 41 years old, of Molino 3, Bacoor, Cavite. Inquest proceedings have been completed by the Muntinlupa Prosecutor's Office on Gregorio, who's facing a complaint of reckless imprudence resulting in homicide, multiple injuries, and damage to property. Gregorio is now under the custody of the Muntinlupa Police, and SMC assured that it will assist the victims of the accident.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. DOH to undertake mass testing in Tuguegarao City. And Army files charges of human rights violation against the NPA before the CHR in Cagayan de Oro City. More from this report.
The Department of Health is targeting to test at least 3,500 individuals for the coronavirus disease in Tuguegarao City in a 4-day undertaking. According to Governor Manuel Mamba, this will also include policemen, barangay officials, and tanods and other frontliners. The mass testing will be conducted in Tuguegarao City due to the increase in the number of COVID-19 cases that could have been triggered by the effects of Typhoon Ulysses last November 12, where thousands had to be taken to evacuation centers because of the massive flooding. The mass testing for COVID-19 in Tuguegarao City will start on Tuesday, November 24 and will last until November 26. The Army's 58th Infantry Battalion filed charges against the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army for human rights violation before the Commission on Human Rights in Cagayan de Oro City. The military filed charges against the NPA for violation of Republic Act 9851 or the Crimes Against International Humanitarian Law, genocides, and other crimes against humanity, particularly on minor recruitment and burning of civilian-owned vehicles. The charges stem from the recent burning incidents in Claveria and Balingasag and the NPA's recruitment of minors in Misamis Oriental. The military said that this is their first filing of case against the NPA and that they are in the process of compiling and consolidating pertinent documents on other NPA's violation on human rights and international humanitarian law.
In world news, G20 pushes for global vaccine access. Biden to start naming cabinet picks Tuesday as Trump resists. And controversial French anti-COVID doctor becomes figurine in a Christmas manger. Let's watch this.
G20 nations emphasized the need for global access to coronavirus vaccines at the Saudi-hosted virtual summit Saturday, dominated by efforts to tackle the pandemic and the worst global recession in decades. U.S. President Donald Trump praised American leadership, claiming credit for what he said was an efficient fight against the virus and success in bolstering the nation's economy. The leaders are huddling online for the 2-day gathering as international efforts intensify for a large-scale rollout of coronavirus vaccines after a breakthrough in trials, and as calls grow for G20 nations to plug a $4.5 billion funding shortfall. Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke of the need to build a global firewall against COVID-19 as he called on G20 nations to help distribute vaccines fairly and efficiently, according to state news agency Xinhua. And French President Emmanuel Macron said the health crisis was a test for the G20, stressing there will be no effective response to the pandemic unless it is a global response. Russian President Vladimir Putin said his country is ready to share its vaccines with others that need it. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden will name his first cabinet picks on Tuesday, his chief of staff said, even as Donald Trump continues to evoke unsubstantiated fraud despite growing dissent from within his own party. Biden has continued his preparations to assume the presidency on January 20, regardless of Trump's moves, increasingly dismissed by Republicans to try to undo the results of the November 3 vote. He declined to say which post the president-elect would announce, though Biden said last week he has already decided on a person for the key position of Treasury Secretary. A growing number of Republicans have either recognized Biden's victory or at least urged the General Services Administration, the usually low-profile agency that manages the federal bureaucracy, to release federal funds for the Biden transition. With most shops still closed in France 5 weeks away from Christmas, a producer of figurines for traditional mangers has the idea of creating one in the likeness of a French doctor, Professor Didier Raoult, who expounded a controversial cure for the coronavirus. Fabienne Pardy, the figurine maker, is a nurse's aide by training. She is doing this to pay homage to the medical professional who fought so hard for the COVID-19 pandemic. She is spending almost 3.5 hours of work for a piece of the special kind of Christmas figurine.
In entertainment trade magazine Variety has chosen K-pop girl group Blackpink as Group of the Year. Variety announced the award recipients that will be featured in its Hitmakers issue that will come out on December 2. In addition, it will hold a Hitmakers program featuring the recipients on December 3 that will be streamed on the different social media sites of the magazine. Recently, Blackpink became a million seller when their first studio album, The Album, sold more than 1 million copies. Blackpink also topped Bloomberg's Pop Star Power Rankings for November based on 4 criteria. The group ranked first on YouTube views with 1 billion views, second on Spotify streams, and 9th on album sales. In sports, Grandmaster Wesley overcame a second-round defeat to teenage sensation Alireza Firouzja to stay in quarterfinal contention in the Skilling Open, which serves as the first leg of the 2020-2021 Champions Chess Tour Sunday. The 27-year-old So is currently in a 4-way logjam at 4th spot with Russian Ian Nepomniachtchi, Armenian Levon Aronyan, and United States teammate Hikaru Nakamura with 3 points apiece. Dutch Anish Giri leads the way with 4 points, while reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen and Spaniard David Anton Guijarro were at joint second with 3.5 points each. After drawing with Spain's Guijarro in the opening round, So ran into Firouzja, who was born in Iran but is now representing FIDE in the next round and lost their showdown. But the two-time U.S. champion bounced back big by trouncing Aronyan and Polish Jan Kryskov of Duda before having a point with world number 3 Ding Liren of China in the 5th. So is hoping to make it to the knockout quarters after the 15-round eliminations of this event, staking tour points plus a total prize fund of $100,000, including $30,000 US to the champion. The 6th to 10th rounds were being played Monday, while the last 5 are set Tuesday. With several international awards under their belt, the Centro Escolar University Singers bagged yet another one at the Oriental Consentus International Choral Competition in Singapore. In a Facebook post, the university cited one of the greatest achievements of the CEU Singers, which the group received in 2020. The CEU Singers also won the Gold and Silver Awards at the 2nd Vietnam International Choir Competition in Hue, Vietnam in 2012. It also received silver diplomas in 3 categories at the 10th anniversary of A Voyage of Songs 2013 in Bangkok, Thailand. In 2014, the choir made it to the finals of the Musica fi Europa and became one of the semifinalists in the MBC Chorale competition. In 2015, they were chosen as grand finalists at the National Music Competitions for Young Artists held at the Cultural Center of the Philippines and a recipient of the 2015 Aliw Awards Foundation for Best Chorale Group. And those are the news on web today, November 23, 2020. It's 32 days before Christmas. For more news and details, get your copy of Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph, or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.